All right, we're both on Facebook and YouTube. All right, yeah. All right, guys, we're fixing to do our live show here in just a couple of minutes. It took us a long time to get stuff set up tonight for some strange reason. But while Steven's getting his stuff shared, we are live actually on Facebook and YouTube. So we are excited about that. This is our first time we try to do that. And let me add a title to the stream really quick. Go find the link. You still hear me, Steven? All right, let me make sure. Now, I can hear you on this. Maybe actually, let me do the live stream one more time. Make sure you can hear on that. I don't know what the heck happened, dude. That was weird. Yeah, it says it's starting now on. All right, we're live on Facebook and YouTube right now. All right. All right, guys, welcome in tonight. Sorry it took us so long to get this started tonight, but we've had some issues. We're trying to stream to multiple platforms for the first time, so that took some playing around with and getting set up, but we got it. We're on YouTube, and we are actually on Facebook as well. So what I can do in the comments is I can actually post the link to our YouTube channel if you want to go and follow us on there. And I apologize in advance. I'm getting over COVID. It was not fun. We were actually supposed to do a show last Thursday, but that's when I started feeling really bad. And, Steven was cool with it. He completely understood, this COVID is no fun. So, if y'all are sick, if y'all are sick, please stay home. I want to get this crap gone. I don't want to be around people no more. So, yeah. But we're live tonight and looking forward to getting everybody's comments on the show. I'm going to comment in the chat down here with the YouTube. Patricia says she heard your Monopoly. That's pretty funny. All right, let me go to YouTube real quick. Let me get this stream key, and then not the stream key, but the channel. I'm going to go to YouTube, paste it in the comments, and then we'll be back. So, as we're just kind of sitting here, I can't believe, Steven, that it's already the third week of college football, man. Like, tell me about it, dude. It's crazy to think that we're in week 3 of college football already. I don't know. No, what's wrong? No, what's wrong? Hold on. Share. Here you go. All right, guys, I'm sharing the live stream to my Facebook page for our YouTube channel. So if y'all want to go get that and start following us on YouTube as well, that would help. So, all right, let's talk about some of these games, man, from last week. First off, dude, and I don't have my notes in front of me, so I'm kind of winging this. Colorado. Let's talk about Colorado for a minute. All right, Deion Sanders. He is Neon Deion, whatever you want to call him. He doesn't like being called that, actually, but Coach Prime, man, he is getting a lot of attention, and rightfully so. I mean, in his defense, his son in the past 2 games, the first 2 games, has thrown for over 900 yards, and I think, would you say 6 or 7 touchdowns? 6 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Man, that's insane. Like, and I know they've played, people would say nobody, but TCU really wasn't a nobody, man. They're defending runner-up national champions from last year. Of course, they lost a lot of people, right? But it's just crazy to think, man, that just that short of time, what Deion's been able to do, bringing in a lot of his guys from Jackson State. And, of course, the transfer portal, he got some people and recruiting as well, man. But what do you think about Deion, man? You think he's just on a new coach hype right now, or do you think there's some truth behind what he's doing? Yes. Oh, yeah, I agree. Exactly. Yes, exactly. I agree, man. And the cool thing, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, but the NIL is actually making college football more of an even playing field. It really is, and that's one thing we're going to talk about when we talk about Alabama. But a couple years ago, man, Alabama was like the team to go to because of Saban. But now you've got options. I mean, you've got plenty of options. So it's unfortunate, but I'm honestly I'm a fan of it because of the fact that it gives you more options to where you can go as a player. And I've always said the players should get paid. I mean, they did anyway under the table, but now it's legal. Right? I mean, yeah, exactly, exactly. I mean, the whole Jimbo Fisher thing and Nick Saban rivalry with him, all that kind of stuff going on. So, but I mean, it is what it is, dude. But yeah, NIL has completely changed the landscape of college football. It really has. It I would say probably that it's still just a little too early to call, only because they've only played two games, and they play in the Pac-12. You know, like Caleb Williams won the Heisman last year, but look at the conference he played in, man. He played in the Pac-12 to where you can get 600 passing yards. Bo Nix got 600 passing yards a game last year. And of course, people were like, "Oh yeah, Auburn should have let him go." No, it wasn't that Bo Nix was a bad quarterback. He didn't have the right system in Auburn. They didn't use him right at Auburn. And I mean, I think it's a possibility. He'll, now we're looking 6 weeks down the road, 7 weeks down the road. If he's still doing what he's doing now, then yeah, he'll definitely be a Heisman contender for sure. Yep. Yeah, I agree. Oh yeah, so much ball game left. Um, all right, we're gonna get into these games from last week, man. But I want to get on a topic before we start talking about the games, and it's a topic that I've heard on multiple outlets this week. It was based off of an interview that Nick Saban had done. Somebody had mentioned retirement to him. Now we all know that his time's coming in the next few years. We know, we agree with that a couple years ago. You said 3 years, and I said about 2 or 3, so I agreed with you. But did you notice? And my mother-in-law actually pointed this out to me. This year on the sidelines, he has not been like high-strung Saban that he's normally been. Man, it's been like, they fumbled the ball and he just kind of okay, they fumbled, no big deal. A couple years ago, old Saban would be on the field yelling and cussing. Now he hadn't been doing that. Do you think he's losing his passion for the game? Yeah. Hmm. No, that's right. That's right. Hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think he's necessarily losing his love for the game. I think maybe he views it differently now because of what we were talking about with NIL and with the portal now the way it is. So I mean, he's definitely approaching things differently. Um, right, exactly, exactly. I mean, he's won what 6 or 7 national championships at Alabama, including what one at LSU. So he's done just about everything he can do, unless he wants to beat Bear Bryant's record. And then, and that may be what he's trying to do, go down as the greatest coach of all time. Which I mean, he's already honestly, he's already at that level. In my opinion, I mean, I wasn't alive when Bear Bryant was alive, so in my opinion, he's kind of exceeded that level. He's definitely the greatest of today's generation, for sure. Right, right. There you go. All right, so while we're on the topic of Alabama, let's get into this game last weekend. I know we're gonna talk about Auburn too. Look, man, um, it's hard doing these shows because for those of y'all that know us, Steven's a big Alabama fan. I'm a big Auburn fan. But when we do these shows, we have to do it from an unbiased standpoint, and sometimes it's really hard. And so I want to apologize in advance if Steven or myself gets really emotional because we're talking about something that we love. Um, but man, honestly, I think the biggest thing to me that I noticed I heard Alabama was the stinking penalties. And this is not the first time we've seen this. Last year at Tennessee, they had 18, 20, something like that in a game. What's your thoughts on that, man? What's going on with this team to where they're committing so many penalties? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh man, no, they couldn't, man. It was bad. Yep, yep. Yep, I agree. And he was, man, it seemed like he was running for his life just about every single play. Now, there were some moments when he shined and when he looked really good. When Alabama took the lead, I was like, okay, now this is the Alabama we're used to seeing. But then Texas answered right back with that drive. And I was like, man, they just cannot stop him. Even as good as Alabama's defense was, they could not put pressure on Quinn Ewers. I don't think they sacked him a single time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was his game. Well, yeah, you have to take some credit for it. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Yeah, it was, man. It, but at some point, though, man, you got to think from his standpoint. When you get down like that, you're trying to play catch up. So throwing the ball is what people typically do. But they couldn't be consistent with it. Now he had some moments when he was dropping dimes. He really was, but it wasn't consistent enough to where they could move the ball down the field. Their running game was non-existent, man. We're gonna go over some stats here in a minute, but I don't know. Yes, he did. Yeah, it wasn't a more of an all target though. It was just I'm gonna throw it up and just jump up and grab it, dude. You know? Yeah, I see what you're saying on that one. It was yeah, exactly. That yes. No, no. Yeah, no, now I'm glad you brought that up too about the top 15 team because with Bama losing so early in the season, they're not out of it by any stretch of the imagination. So don't, Alabama fans, if you're watching this, don't think that the season's over. You're not gonna make the playoffs. You lost to Texas, who was ranked what 8th when you played them, um, 11th. So they jumped that high. They jumped a lot in the rankings. Okay, um, but I mean, you're not out of it by any stretch of the imagination. Now, if at the end of the year Bama has 3 losses, not only is that going to hurt Alabama, but that could hurt Texas because people's going to say, you know what, that win against Alabama doesn't look so impressive now because they've lost to this team and this team as well. So you got to think about that. Now, do I think Bama's going to lose another game? I don't know. It's still too early to tell. I mean, if they played like they did Saturday against a team to that caliber, then yeah, they could. Um, but so a couple of stats here, man. I sent them to you too. Alabama was only 5 for 14 on third downs. That's that's crazy. Like usually they're really good at third downs, and Alabama also used to be the team to they'd shut you down. They go to your stadium, and by third quarter they're making you leave because you're up so high. But that's kind of what Texas did to Alabama this year was when they showed up and they started taking the lead. They showed it on at one point on the TV that Bama fans were leaving like early fourth quarter, and that never happens. Yep. Oh, I agree. That's right. Mm-hmm. Right. Yep. See, it's you get that a lot, especially with the students. The students are real bad about it, about leaving if they're down. And I mean, I get it, but in the same sense, I don't because. Quick story before we move on. I went to an Auburn game when I was 10 years old, 11 years old, and we were down to LSC by 3 touchdowns. And it was like early fourth quarter. My mom was like, "Come on, we got to leave. We got traffic." I was like, "No, we're going to come back and win this game." She goes, "There's no way we're going to come back." And in that game, that quarterback threw 3 pick sixes in a row, and Auburn came back and won the game. So that should show you right there that you know not to leave. But stats here, they had 2 turnovers and they had 10 penalties for 90 yards. Man, that's pretty much the whole length of the football field. So that's. Let me see too. They can hear you at all. Let's see what's going on.
I can't find the pink charger cord that was in there.
It's right here. Give me a second. I'm almost done with it. Let me see too. Okay, I can't hear you. I can hear you, but they can't. So. Yeah, we apologize, but I don't know why y'all can't hear Steven. Has it been like that the whole time? Okay, I can't hear you. I can hear you, but they can't, so. I'm trying to look back and see if it's YouTube or if it's Facebook or both. Options to where you can go as a player, and I've always said the players should get paid. You know, I mean, they did anyway under the table, but now it's legal. You know, right? I mean, yeah, I can't hear you on it either. Exactly. I mean, we get the whole Jimbo Fisher thing and Nick Saban rivalry with him. You know, all that kind of stuff going on. So, but I mean, it is what it is, dude. But yeah, NIL has and maybe because I'm wearing headphones. College football. It really has. All right, Steven, try to talk now. Y'all let us know if y'all can hear Steven now.
All right, can y'all hear me now? Just when we thought we had it all figured out.
I know, right? Yes, I can hear you on here.
Okay,
now.
okay. All right.
Cool, got it fixed. It's because I was wearing OBS was set to some weird setting, so I don't know what all that y'all caught. We were basically talking about the Alabama game, and we'll kind of do a quick recap. We talked about NIL and how it's changing the game of college football. We talked about the transfer portal, and I mentioned to ask Steven if he thought that Saban was different on the sidelines this year than he has been in the past. We both agree that he's not as high strung as he has been in the past, but
I think it's more of a culture thing, not a I'm about to retire thing. I'm done with the game thing. I think he's got a couple more years left. I think about 3 more years max. But I mean, he's getting close to coming out the door.
No, yeah, I agree. So let's recap this Bama game again, man, because that's what people were. They kind of missed that. So I don't know what happened with the audio. I apologize. But though we had it figured out, we could hear each other, but apparently y'all couldn't hear us. So, all right, Steven, talk a little bit about that game Saturday, man.
So basically, what I saw, was the fact that the offense could not block for whatever reason, being 350 pounds each. That's the heaviest line we've ever had. The second closest thing was 2009, but the holes in the offense, the holes in the secondary on defense, Milroe being a young quarterback, inexperienced, there's improvements there. When the pocket collapses, scrambles, he tries to find a way to throw the ball instead of just tucking it and running, because there was like 7 times that I counted with holes being opened where he could have just took off and at least gotten first downs or close to a first down. Easily. So, I mean, there's a lot of things we need to work on. This is just our first true test. I mean, you got to think it was a top 15 opponent. So, I mean, it's not like we weren't playing an unranked team.
Right. No, right. And that's one thing I touched on, too, was because of who you lost to, this loss, it's not going to hurt Alabama in the playoffs unless they lose another game. And it's like I said a second ago, if they lose another game or two, then not only does this loss hurt Alabama, but it technically is going to hurt Texas, too, because let's say if they're a one-loss team going into the playoffs, and it's like, y'all lost to so-and-so, but we beat Alabama. Yeah, but Alabama also lost to these 2 teams. So your win over Alabama doesn't look as impressive as it would if Alabama stays undefeated the rest of the season.
Right.
So, But like we said, man, they're not out of it by any means.
No.
I'm just hoping Georgia slips up this weekend against South Carolina, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Um, yeah, man, my biggest takeaway from this was it wasn't necessarily their defense, other than the fact that they couldn't put pressure on Quinn Ewers. Like it just seemed like they could not get to him no matter how hard they tried. I mean, seems like he had all day to throw the ball.
Well, I mean, that and the defensive holds by, I think it was that one, I think Burton was the one that they kept calling. But, he just kept grabbing because he was getting beat.
Yeah, he was.
Straight up, he was just getting beat. And, so he would grab and try to keep him close to him. But, I mean, that had a lot to do with it. But, they really could not pressure him because I guess Texas's offensive line, they actually – studies film.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. And there were moments in that game when Jalen Milroe looked like a superstar. When he was dropping down,
for sure.
60-yard passes, beautiful passes. But
it wasn't consistent.
No, like it was not consistent at all. And it seemed like when Alabama took the lead for the first time, I thought the momentum was about to switch. But then Texas came right back, and that may have been the drive when Texas was like at the 45 and they threw it to the tight end. The tight end kept running. Alabama couldn't tackle him. He cut across the field, still couldn't tackle him, and they finally brought him down like the 2-yard line. I was like, dude, he's got hands, but he's not the fastest guy out there. Y'all should be able to smoke this dude. And they just couldn't bring him down.
They were arm tackling all night long.
Yes, they were.
They were arm tackling. And you can't win a football. Defense wins championships. You can't win a football game if you're arm tackling.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Simple as that.
I agree. They try to go for the legs or for the strip too much, and they just bring the dude down, man. Let the game come to you. You'll make the stops. If you're tackling right, you're gonna make the stops.
Right.
What do you think about that Auburn game? Did you get a chance to watch it?
I watched most of it. I was driving home, because I went about 45 minutes away to go watch the Bama game. I was driving home, and when I got home, I cut it on. It was about halfway through the second quarter, so I didn't miss much of it. So I caught a good bit of it. I thought, honestly, Auburn does look pretty solid, but they also need work too. But I get it; they're a young team, so I mean, it's not like they have a new, first year coach. So I mean, they're not going to just come in and be, oh my gosh, I'm, amazing. They're going to need to build up to it. So
no, I agree.
I think the score should have been a little more.
I think so too.
On Auburn's side.
Yep.
It should not have been a 4-point game, but it wasn't because the way they were playing. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. So I don't think it was play calling either. It was more of an execution issue. And it seemed like every time they had a good drive going, they'd get hit with a penalty or they'd turn the ball over. They had 3 fumbles in that game, one by Jarquez Hunter, which is extremely rare that happens anyway. But the opening drive with Peyton Thorne, and he was running the ball, just looked like he just threw it to him like, here you go, man, take the ball. And excuse me, we got lucky, to be honest with you, because that should have been a touchdown.
Yeah.
But they called it back because they said he stepped out of bounds, but they still counted it as a fumble. I was grateful, don't get me wrong, but I missed like that opening drive because the Alabama game was going off, and I couldn't find ESPN News on YouTube TV, so I just missed it like that first 4 minutes of the game. But I tell you what, who the real MVP of that game is? California's kicker.
Yeah.
He 1 for 4. He left 9 points on that field. Now the first one was almost blocked. Now I get that, but man, 1 for 4. Like that's, you gotta be down on yourself, and you're in your home stadium. If you're on the road, I can see that, but
right.
I'm just so glad he didn't, man.
And that was another thing with Auburn, though. You got to think they were all the way out in California, so they were on that, East Coast time and the West Coast. So
yeah,
they were playing.
They were, but Hugh Freeze had commented on that last week, and he said he's not going to make any changes as far as what time they wake up. Like if he wakes his player up at 7:00 here, he's going to wake him up at 5:00 there because that would have been the same time.
Right.
But the adjustment was bad because it was after 1:00 when I went to bed. with COVID. It was horrible. I was miserable. But no, like going back and looking at some of the game, the offense needed work. They still need work for sure before Texas A&M next weekend. But luckily we've got Samford, and this is a good chance for them to tune some things up and make some things right before next weekend. But the running game, like the whole offense, just wasn't was not existent. Now there, like I said, there were some good points in that game, some good moments. Peyton Thorne made some good throws, but he was like Milroe. He wasn't consistent enough to make them every single play. And I felt like that they were. I mean, they didn't throw the ball very much, but I kind of felt like at one point they were abandoning the running game and trying to throw it too much. I mean, yeah, granted their defense was slowing down the run, but they were still getting 4 or 5 yards a carry on average. Yeah, just because one play goes 2 yards doesn't mean the next one's not going to go 10. It just a lot of inconsistencies and penalties kind of hurt us as well. You know, like I said, Auburn get on a good drive down the field, and then they get hit with a holding penalty, or they get hit with a false start, or delay a game, or they had 4 turnovers in that game. And usually, in a typical football game, 4 turnovers means you don't win. But somehow they found a way to pull that game out with 4 turnovers. So I'm grateful for that. Yes, it was a win, but it kind of felt like a loss. But I'll take the win.
Mm-hmm.
It just lets you know, it gives you more stuff to watch on film, right? It lets you know what you have to look forward to and what you have to work towards and get better before you go into conference play next weekend against Texas A&M. Because even though they lost to Miami, I still think Texas A&M is a good team. I don't think they're a great team, but I think they're a good team.
Yeah.
That being said, we'll make a prediction for that game next week.
I mean, they did kind of, how do I put this? Talk about Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Crap the bed.
Yeah. Well, and we had talked about this, I think, 2 weeks ago when we did our last live show, is that I wasn't buying into the hype of Texas A&M, and I haven't for the past few years.
Neither was I.
For reasons like this, like they always. No, I'm not saying Miami is a bad team. Chris Ball's got that team. He's working on them. He's getting them better. But that's a team that they should have beaten on paper.
Oh yeah.
But games aren't won on paper; they're won on the field. It was playing at Coral Gables, so Miami already had the advantage there. And freaking Van Winkle was just lighting them up, dude. He really was.
Van Dyke.
I call him Van Winkle. Rip Van Winkle. No. But, all right, man, I know it's getting late. Let's get into these games for this weekend. We're going to pick 3 this week. We typically pick 6, but there's not a lot of marquee games. That's going to start next week when real SEC play starts, because we don't count Georgia. They're not part of the SEC anymore. But yeah, first game we're gonna go Tennessee at Florida. How do you see this game panning out?
Oh, Tennessee all day.
Yeah.
I don't think Florida stands a chance in this one.
No.
And it's not because Florida's it is kind of because Florida's not too hot this year, but it's more because Tennessee, I don't know what they're feeding them out there in Knoxville, but they're
past couple years.
They're doing something.
Yeah, they are. Past couple of years, man, they've been really good. But see, I was the same way with Tennessee, like I am now about A&M. Like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, they'd hype up Tennessee. It's like, I'm just not buying into it. And then last year when they were hyping them up, I was like, I don't believe it. And then they turned out to be a real good team. Excuse me, I'm still getting over sick. They turned out to be a really good team. And I thought that they were going to take a step back this year without Hendon Hooker, but they really
haven't. I thought so too. And like you said, they really haven't. I guess Josh Heupel knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he really does. I'm like you, man. I think Tennessee's going to win by at least 21. I really do. I don't see this being much of a contest. That being said, anything can happen. I mean, it is in Florida, so they have home.
I'm about to say it's in Gainesville, isn't it?
Yeah, it's in Gainesville. But it's still though, man. It just doesn't seem like this is Florida's year to to do that great. You know, they're gonna be middle of the road, close to the bottom SEC East team this year.
And I hate it. I like old Billy Napier.
I do too,
I just like his attitude and
Yeah.
all that. So
Yeah.
I mean, I hate it for him because he's gonna get a little flack for it. But I mean, it's what his
He will,
first full season or second.
Second. Yeah, it's his second full season. But again, I mean, give him another year or two, and then if he's still isn't up to par, then you can make a change. But it's way too early to make a change. Speaking of changes, before we go to our next game, do you know A&M fans are already screaming for Jimbo's head? Have you heard that?
No, I have not heard that.
Yeah, they're already screaming to have him fired. I'm like, man,
Well,
he's got that lifetime like $90 million contract, so good luck with that one.
Right.
But
I mean, they got the money. It is out there in Texas, so they do got that money.
They've got the money for sure. And then we got, we're going to do the Georgia game last, I guess. Then we got Mississippi State and LSU. I think that's a road game for LSU.
Yeah.
This is an interesting game to me because Mississippi State, they're not great, but they're not horrible. They're not horrible, and they've got potential to be a good team. And I think with their defense, could keep them in this game, but I don't know. I'm not sold on either one of these teams yet.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm still kind of going off of the Florida State game for LSU.
Same.
In my mindset, but at the same time, Mississippi State really hadn't played nobody either.
No, they hadn't.
But Mississippi State has looked a lot better.
Yeah,
and have the record to show for it. But if I had to pick a team to come out on top in that one, I would probably go LSU just because, their loss was the first game of the season for them. Mm-hmm. So it's not like it was one of those, they've had a few games getting close to the end. It was literally their first game of the season. So
yeah,
you have first game jitters, mistakes are going to happen. You got to get everything all dialed in. So I'm having to go LSU with this one.
I am too. I'm going to be honest. I haven't really watched either team. I watched LSU the first week when they played Florida State, but and even
I didn't really watch them last week.
And even then, we were working on getting Halloween decorations out so we can get ready to put them up. But excuse me, I haven't watched Mississippi State this year, but from what I've read, they seem to be adapting to not playing the air raid, but they're not there yet. Like that's something that you can't just turn it on like that. I don't think anyway. But yeah, I'm gonna have to go. Unfortunately, I'm probably gonna have to go LSU here too. Maybe by 10, 13 ballpark, maybe.
I could see a 2-touchdown game.
I don't know what the spread is. I honestly didn't look it up. I've been out of sorts this week.
Yeah. I get it.
I'm gonna go LSU on this game. And then the 2:30 kickoff, the first actual SEC game on CBS this year. And by the way, if y'all are not fans of of Gary Danielson, this is our last year on CBS. We will be strictly ESPN next year forward.
That's a bittersweet thing to have happen.
Yes, it is.
Because I am going to miss the introduction. That music just that music it just hits just right at 2:30 on a Saturday.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about it, but
I mean, I like Brad Nessler. I do. And Gary's not bad, but just sometimes
Gary knows what he's talking about. It's just he is anti-Alabama and he is anti-Auburn.
Yes, like he will
for sure
say whatever he can to make those teams look bad. And sometimes the things he says, you're just like, what? But I'll tell you this.
He states the obvious.
Yeah, exactly. But I will take Gary Danielson any day of the week over Beth Mowins.
Yeah.
She is horrible. Absolutely horrible. And I get it. I don't see any reason why a female can't be a commentator. She's just not good. Like she tries to make funny points or tries to make these points that makes her look completely ignorant, for lack of a better term, when she doesn't know what she's talking about. All right,
Yeah.
2:30 kickoff on CBS. Georgia and South Carolina. It's a road game for South Carolina. They've looked up and down this year. They played a decent game against North Carolina. Spencer Rattler can be really good if he can get in sync. There's been some times this year Georgia struggled. Yes, they played nobody teams, and they've ended up blowing them out. But Carson Beck, this is his first year as a starter. I don't know how he's going to do against real competition. Do you see this game being put on upset alert, or do you think Georgia's going to handle business?
For lack of my Pit Vipers, I'm going to do this. That's the power of Beamer ball, baby.
There
Beamer
you go.
ball, baby.
You know what?
No, in all honesty, you know, the only way South Carolina wins this game is if Georgia starts as slow as they've started against these little schools that they've been playing.
Second quarter. They didn't score to the second quarter against Prattville University.
Right.
I don't know who it was for real, but that's not the point. Ball State. It was Ball State. Yeah.
Yeah, Ball State. But I mean, this might be an upset game, and I'm going to go that route for the simple fact that Georgia has been starting slow. You know, they have a rookie, or I say rookie. They have a young quarterback that really hadn't really got much snaps.
Yep.
South Carolina's got Spencer Rattler. So I mean, and you've seen what he can do.
Yeah,
but
when he's on point, man, he's good. But
so I mean, this is going to be a true test for Georgia to see if they really are the team that they say they are and go for the three-peat.
Yeah. Now, didn't South Carolina play them in a close game?
Yes.
Wasn't it like a 6-point game or something? And I want to say, I mean, I could. Sorry, guys. Excuse me. I could see Georgia getting upset in this game. Even though it's a home game for them. But I don't want to pick them, but I am going to pick them this week just because I don't think South Carolina's quite there. I don't think they've fully come together as a team. I don't think they're going to be quite ready for Georgia's defense, but I think they're going to keep it close. But I
feel like this is going to be one of those games where it's South Carolina's going to come in here like, what do we have to lose? We're not as good as them.
Yeah.
We're going to give it our all.
Yeah.
And then Georgia's going to come in there like, we're Georgia. We got this.
Right.
You know, I think it's going to be one of those. That's the only reason I'm picking South Carolina in this one for the upset. This is my big upset of the week, by the way.
And I can see because there's been an upset every week so far.
So, I mean, it's not like it's not feasible to happen.
Right.
You know, I'm probably gonna have like the unpopular opinion on that, but I'll say. But it's gonna be like it's gonna be a 1-score game.
Wow.
Either way.
Okay.
Either way, it'll be a 1-score game.
I think the spread's got Georgia like at 24, something like that. But I'm like you, man. I think that South Carolina could keep it close. They could even pull the upset. I mean, things are gonna have to go right. I mean, they're gonna have to play a perfect game. No turnovers.
they're gonna have to play lights out. No doubt.
No turnovers, no penalties. They're going to have to force some turnovers. You know, they're going to have to be able to stop that running game of Georgia and force them to beat them in the air. Because I want to say that Georgia has lost a lot of their receivers from last year. So there's a chance. Gamecock fans, there's a chance you can pull the upset this week on the Bulldogs. But I don't know.
And I'm on your side with that one.
So am I.
Beamer ball, baby.
Beamer ball. All right, guys, we're going to wrap this up. It's late, and we got started a lot later than we wanted to because of these difficulties. But thank you all so much for watching. We ran live on Facebook and YouTube tonight. We're going to try to do this more regularly every week, at least one show a week. There's some points I wanted to hit on at the beginning. I didn't get a chance to, but I am working on an intro video. Hopefully, we will have that ready by next week. And then, of course, Twitch and was it Kick?
Kick.
We're working on having getting a Twitch and Kick account as well, just so we can stream to those platforms as well. So if you have friends, family, whomever on those platforms, go ahead and share these videos to them. Go ahead and get the word out there. So when we get our channel started, we'll have people who know. So we're wanting to broaden our audience other than just Facebook. Facebook friends, we love y'all. We really do. But our friends are mainly in this area, and we want to expand our area. So that's why we're streaming it to YouTube tonight as well. So make sure y'all, if you're watching this on YouTube, you like and subscribe to our channel. Like this video on Facebook. Share it with all your friends. Steven, go ahead. Take us away, bud.
All right. Well, it was a good night. We talked about what we could talk about. Once again, sorry for the technical difficulties. Things happen. It's late. We know it. But, we're going to do it again hopefully next week and get everything done. And, I'm looking forward to joining Twitch and Kick as well.
Yes,
I think we could expand way more because there's suggested, on that. So, people can be like, oh, what are they talking about? And click on you and then boom. If they like what they see, then they stay and everything like that. So it's a learning curve, but it sure is going to be better in the long run. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm thankful for you for letting me come be a part of this.
Oh, absolutely, man. Anytime.
I've enjoyed this so far, and hopefully we do many, many more. So let's have a good night, y'all. Much love to all of y'all, and as always, roll Tide.
War Eagle. We'll see y'all next week.
Peace out.
All right, I think everything is done. Dude, there's a couple of times there I started freaking coughing my head off. I'm like, oh, that's going to be horrible. Can't help it, though.
See, my problem is I started yawning. I was like, oh, no. 30 sure does come early.
Mm-hmm.